Taylor and High School.
On that baseline three-pointer.
How's it going, you spicy young individuals? Welcome to a new episode of Inside IUE Sports. I'm your host, Travis Lang, and we are here starting a new show. For our first segment, I've got Taylor Browning with me. She's part of the IU East women's basketball team, and it is her first time on the show.
Yes.
So are you nervous?
A little bit, yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
should be pretty easy. As always, when we have new people on the show, we just want to talk a little bit about how you ended up at IU East. So tell me a little bit about your story. How did you end up playing basketball? How did you end up here? And then we'll talk about the season.
Yeah, I started playing basketball at a young age. My mom always got me introduced in new gyms, new programs. So I've been playing AAU, different travel leagues since then. I went to Rushville High School. I played there for 4 years under Melissa Marlowe. There's a lot of Rushville players that went through IU East, so it was kind of comfortable and familiar to me. I transferred here from Taylor University. I played there for 2 years under Jody Martinez. He was a great coach. Loved the team, but I wanted to be closer to home. So,
And going back to that Rushville mindset, there have been a lot of players, like you mentioned, from Rushville that have gone to IU East. Did they ever give you any advice as you were going through?
yeah, so I always grew up watching Sarah Cook and Mackenzie Campbell. They were always someone I looked up to. And then Alexa Bess, well-born now, so she really helped me through the process of transferring from Taylor to IU East.
And your time at Taylor, you transferred from there. What's the difference like between Taylor and IU East when it comes to like team culture and even like something like the campus?
Yeah, so Taylor was I'd say a larger campus. There was, I lived on campus there, and it was a Christian school, so we really integrated like our faith within within basketball and different sports. But we do that here at IU East, but it's I'd say a different culture change, big change, I'd say.
Yeah,
So.
and you mentioned the religious aspect. Addie Brown actually leads FCA for
Yes.
IU East, so I'm sure there's a
Yeah.
little bit of a connection there.
Yeah.
But this team is full of a cast of characters that you've gotten to play throughout this time, this new season, especially coming off of a COVID season that got completely canceled. Just tell me a little bit about the season. Go through it play by play. What were some highlights from this past season?
Yeah, this season was really good. We had a strong culture, I'd say, and we were really strong physically and mentally. I'd say for them last year, their season was cut short because of COVID, so it was a lot of learning experiences for the younger girls because I got to play a full season at Taylor last year. So, yes, and then we ended it shortly at Dort. I'm not at Dort, against Dort, but that was a big learning experience for us. So I'd say our season started out very strong. We were shooting a lot of threes, making a lot of threes. We were killing the teams, but yeah, I feel like we stayed consistent and we got better throughout the season.
Yeah, Nationals is such a huge achievement for the team.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Nationals? Like, had you been to Nationals before that time?
Yeah, my freshman year at Taylor, we went to Nationals. We were starting to play our second game, and they were like, you guys got to go home. So we had to drive a long bus ride home back after we got cut off from there.
So did you take anything from that time at Nationals to the now Nationals, the second time back? What did you learn from the first time there that you brought to the second?
I'd say my first time there, I was very nervous. So I understand why we were a little shaken at first during our first game against Dort. I learned a lot of confidence there, I'd say. So, like, being familiar with a huge arena and, like, millions of seats watching you. And so, yeah, it's definitely a great experience for us to go and be involved in that.
And so with all this experience that you've gained over your years of playing basketball, you fit into this team pretty well. You weren't always a starter, but you were in a pretty key position to help IU East score. So how would you describe your role on the team at IU East?
I would say my role is, well, we call him, I'm mostly a bear, I guess. It's hard to explain, but so I always have to fight with the big girls down there and keep them out. I was a really good role player, I believe, but just knowing my position and my role on the team, I feel like benefited the team.
how do you train as a bear? Like, what's the mindset? Like, what's the mentality? How do you get prepared for a role like that?
Yeah, you just got to be physically strong. You got to make sure your presence is known down there, so the bigger girls on the other teams don't think they can beat you up, I guess, down there. Yeah, so we're mainly there are two in the bottom that have to step up and take charges a lot, make sure no one really gets into the paint.
And so from that through this season, IUE's finished with a winning record. They weren't able to go pretty far into nationals, but it was still a good achievement. What are some goals you have moving forward after this season? Are there any major achievements that you want to get before you graduate?
Yeah, so a major thing would be not having any losses at home, and hopefully not any losses on the road again, but probably win conference for the whole team, and get it to nationals again, give it another try. So,
are there any conference opponents that stick out to you in your mind? Because I know you're coming from
Yeah.
Taylor to IUE, different opponents for the most part. Like, what's the difference between the opponents you face at Taylor and the opponents you face at IU East?
A lot of the opponents at Taylor, they were ranked teams. So you had Marian University, you have Indiana Wesleyan. So they were really stacked teams, really great teams. And then against IU East, you do have really good teams. But it's honestly, there is a huge difference, I'd say, because it's expanded, really, I'd say. Because at Taylor, the farthest we drive was 4 hours. But I feel like every road game, we have to drive 3 to 4 hours. But the opponent that sticks out the most to me is Rio. Yeah, they're tough. They're really tough. And we deserve another shot at them because I feel like we can really give it to them.
And also, I mean, you had a great game against Rio, so I'm sure that
Yeah.
also helps a little bit too.
Yeah.
But it's interesting you mentioned the travel time. A lot of times people don't realize how far some of these IU East teams travel just to get to away games. So how do you stay focused and how do you keep a strong mind when you have to be on the bus for 3, 4, 5 hours?
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard. I usually take a nap. I sleep the entire bus ride, but once you get there, you just gotta click it on, and you gotta be focused. It's harder being focused on the road compared to at home.
I'm sure too that academics have also been a focus with your basketball time. What has your academic path looked like, especially transferring from colleges and looking at different majors? Like, what are you planning on doing when you get out of college?
I plan on hopefully working for a larger company and getting a marketing and management aspect of it. But I would like to own my own boutique someday, so an online boutique. But the professors here have been really amazing. My GPA has gone up tremendously from Taylor to IU East. My favorite professor is Timothy Scales. He's an amazing guy. He's helped me out a lot.
And that's not the first time I've heard that, because we
Yeah.
talked with Tristan Thomas, and he's undecided, but he was looking at Tim Scales and potentially wanted to do business. So is your major in business right now?
Yes, I'm in business administration, and I'm minoring in entrepreneurship. So
Good stuff.
yeah, but we have a small group called the CEOs. I don't know if you've heard of it at IU East, but so we recently are launching a new cookbook for the group. So it's exciting. It's exciting. It's coming out hopefully in fall.
So from boutiques to cookbooks.
Yeah.
And so finally, with all that in mind, with a great season, you guys just got done with, looking forward to another season, looking forward also in your career. Do you have any advice for somebody who's transferred colleges, still trying to play college sports, still trying to get used to a new team, a new style, new opponents? How does someone make that transition? How did you make that transition?
It was very hard. I was in the summertime, and everything was up in the air. I hadn't really thought about IU East, and then my head coach from Rushville, Melissa Marlowe, was like, "Hey, why don't you look at this?" I'm like, it really clicked. But it just gave me an extra spark for these next 2 years. Well, this year, now as a senior, but it was hard. It's a different culture change too, different people. You gotta expand your boundaries. You gotta open up to new things. So.
Well, thank you so much, Taylor, for joining us on the
you.
show. Congratulations on the great season just this past time, and good luck with future endeavors.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.